Amway. You've heard the name, right? And you've probably noticed it brings up some strong feelings. People either seem to absolutely love it or they passionately hate it. There's almost no in between. So how does one company create that kind of extreme love-hate reaction? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to deconstruct today.
And get this, the organization doesn't even shy away from the controversy. This is a real quote captured by a researcher at an actual Amway meeting. They take the word brainwashing and they just lean right into it, spinning it as a tool for positive thinking. It's a pretty bold move, and it gets right to the heart of what we're talking about.
So this is the big question, right? How does this happen? This isn't just about a business model or how to sell soap. Nope, this is about psychology. We're going to unpack the exact process that can lead one person to feel like they've found their family and another person to feel completely betrayed. And the research we're leaning on here isn't just some stuffy academic paper. It actually started with a personal story. A researcher named Michael Pratt saw one of his own family members get really into Amway, and it made him curious. So he did what any good researcher would do. He joined for almost 2 years to see what was going on from the inside.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll set up this whole love-hate puzzle. Then, we'll break down the two-step psychological process they use. After that, we'll look at the different ways this can all play out for people. And finally, we'll see how this exact same playbook shows up in places you might not expect.
All right, first up, the love-hate organization. We're really looking at a puzzle of extremes here. You have the same company, the same meetings, the same products, but the result is either a passionate defender or a furious critic. Understanding why is everything.
And that brings us to the first part of the playbook. It all starts with creating a void. The research gives it a name, sense breaking. And it's a really powerful and frankly intentional process designed to shake up your reality.
So what in the world is sense breaking? Well, think of it like this. It's the process of making you question who you are and what your life is all about right now. The whole point is to create what's called a meaning void, to make you feel a little empty, a little dissatisfied, so that you start actively looking for a new way to make sense of everything.
So how do they do this? The main tool is something called dream building. It's a whole process. Step 1, they get you to tie your sense of who you are to things. The big house, the fancy car. Those become your dreams. Step 2, this makes you feel like you're not enough as you are right now. Your current life, your comfort zone, gets framed as a rut that's holding you back. And step 3, this is key. It never stops. As soon as you hit one dream, you're immediately pushed to set an even bigger one. You're supposed to always be striving.
And this is the whole point. The end goal of sense breaking is to turn you into a seeker. By making you unhappy with your present and obsessed with some idealized future, the organization basically molds you into someone who is desperately searching for answers, for a new system that will fix that feeling of dissatisfaction. All right, so the void has been created. Now what? Well, the organization moves right into step 2, filling that void. This part of the process is called sense-giving.
Sense-giving is the other half of the equation. It's the process where the organization guides that seeker toward their way of seeing the world. It hands you the answers, the new reality, the community, basically everything you need to fill that meaning void they just helped create.
And wow, this quote from Amway's co-founder, it just says it all, doesn't it? The mentor or your upline is central to this whole thing. And notice the language. They're not a manager or a boss. They're a midwife, helping you give birth to a brand new you, an identity that's perfectly in line with the organization.
So, here's how that new reality gets built. They split the world into 2 camps. In this corner, you've got the Amway family. Your upline isn't just giving you business tips. They're your emotional rock. They're a family that really, truly wants you to win. And in the other corner, you have the traditional JOB, which they say stands for jackass of a boss. That world is painted as a cold, heartless place where you're just a number they can replace tomorrow. It's a pretty stark choice, right?
And when this sense-giving really takes hold, the result is something called encapsulation. Members basically end up inside a social and ideological bubble. All their time is spent with other distributors, thinking the same thoughts, and the system gives them an answer for everything. Any friends or family who are critical? Oh, they're just dream stealers. The bubble protects that fragile new identity.
Okay, so we've seen the 2-step dance. Create a void, then fill it. But what happens next? Does it work for everyone? Well, this is where we get to a fork in the road, and where things get really interesting, leading to totally different outcomes for people.
This chart just lays it all out so clearly. Let's walk through it. If both parts of the process work, sense-breaking and sense-giving, you get positive identification. The person feels totally connected, they love Amway. But what if the sense-breaking works? They buy into the dream, but the sense-giving part fails. Maybe their mentor bails on them? The result is disidentification. They feel betrayed, they hate the organization. Now, what if the sense-breaking never even works on them? They just feel apathy. It wasn't for me. No love, no hate. And finally, if it only kind of works, you get this constant state of conflict, of struggle.
And this might be the most fascinating finding of the entire study. The outcome, whether someone loved it or hated it, had almost nothing to do with how much money they made. The researcher found people who were totally devoted while making peanuts, and people who quit in a rage after having huge success. The feeling wasn't about the bank account. It was about whether that psychological journey, that identity makeover, actually worked for them or not.
Okay, let's zoom out for a minute. Because this two-step process, this identification management playbook, it's not just an Amway thing, not by a long shot. Once you see the pattern, you start seeing it everywhere.
I mean, just think about it. Military base training, it's all about breaking down your civilian identity to build a soldier. Medical school, it breaks you down before building you back up as a doctor. Those intense, high-culture tech companies, they make you feel like you're part of an elite team changing the world. You see this pattern pop up in social movements, religious groups. It's a fundamental human process.
And at its core, the strategy is always the same, no matter the group. Step 1, create a meaning void. Challenge a person's current identity. Step 2, offer a powerful new identity and a protective social system to fill that void. And the result? You get an individual whose entire sense of self becomes deeply wrapped up in the group's mission.
And this really brings it all back to us, doesn't it? This process isn't just something that happens to other people in organizations we might find strange. The groups we all belong to, our jobs, our friend circles, our online communities, they all have ways of shaping who we are. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Take a look at the groups you're a part of. How are they shaping who you are becoming?